I'm going to read a paper that I wrote for court when a gentleman named Dan Smith brought me to court to get a restraining order on me. And he slandered me in court, and he used me. He was a gang stalking perp. I'm going to read the paper the best I can. It's very crumbled. This is the second copy of the paper. My therapist had a copy, and that's the only way that she got me another copy, because it actually got stolen from my apartment. So this was written in my defense for court, because he was trying to get a restraining order, and I don't know what else he was trying to do to me, but it wasn't good. He did a lot of bad things to me. Listen to this. I'm going to read it. I'm not sure where to start. I'm not very good at communicating, but this is a very private matter, and I don't feel comfortable telling the entire room that I was diagnosed with ADHD and in special classes my whole life. This is going to be the best way to get it down on paper, exactly what relationship me and Dan Smith had. I'm trying my best right now to write this paper down properly and with the best grammar I can accomplish. You know, I thought the judge was going to read this, you know. My whole life people have taken advantage of me. A lot of people who claim they are my friends, but this one is beyond words. I grew up with an abusive mother and no father. He sat down near me with his walker, and I don't remember how the conversation started, to be honest, but I offered my old walker to him because I just mentioned my bone disease, and I didn't need my walker anymore at the time. He seemed to have a friendly conversation about my disability claim. I said I had. I'm sorry, I'm having a hard time reading this paper. I said I had pending because my disability came up. I just discussed I've been waiting for mine for 6 or 7 years. Something like that. I don't know if those numbers are accurate. It's going to federal court, and I was very depressed because I didn't think I was going to be awarded it. He said he could help me. He would call up and be on three-way calls with Social Security office and things like that with me. I really felt like I had an intelligent person's support who knew all this legal stuff, paperwork, etc. He had a photocopying machine and helped me copy legal papers and stuff like that. He actually probably still has all my papers floating around in his stacks of paperwork around his copier that he has. When I got my disability back pay, around $50,000, I can't recall what it was. I'm not good at remembering numbers. Actually, embarrassingly enough, blah, blah, blah. I'm not going to read some of this stuff. All we did was go out to eat expensive meals. I was always happy to pay for his meals and spend quality time with him. Because of my depression and sleep schedule I had when I met him, I would always ask he would always ask me what I'm doing in the morning, and I would tell him go fishing. And I would wake up around 4 a.m. because of my sleep cycle being all messed up from electronic harassment. I didn't know at the time. He would agree to wake up at 4 a.m. to spend time with me. At one point, I felt so emotionally attached to him. I told him I thought of him as a father figure. I recall him saying, "Oh, come on, I'm more like a brother." It was okay. I never had a close sibling either. My only friend who was close to me also had Asperger's syndrome, which is autism spectrum, and I think I'm being taken advantage of by this man financially, but I'm not sure. I'm worried about him though. I've been breaking down crying everywhere for days. I believe I was having a heart attack, and I'm feeling very fatigued. This is all causing me a lot of pain. Even typing this, I still have to visit a cardiologist soon. I found out that was electronic harassment too. I really relate to this man's physical health. I spent a few nights at Dan's house before I slept on his couch. I always brought him gifts and never asked for anything in return. I even purchased him a gaming laptop, headphones, and I wanted to chat with him through video because I thought it was possible I might move back in with my mother. I was worried about never seeing him again because I was so attached to him. And at that time, I played computer games. That was my hobby. So I bought him a gaming computer. Let me get back to where I left off. I thought it was possible I might move back with my mother. I was worried about money running out so fast because of how much money I was sharing with Dan to help him afford medical marijuana. Weeks after I gave him the computer, he gave it back to me with damages so that I couldn't refund my money. He kept the headphones, but I suspect he returned them for cash. I introduced him to my friend Patrick, and both of them continued to talk to me separately and see me separately, but all three of us never saw each other in the same room again. My leg broke and I couldn't walk for 3 to 4 months. In the beginning, Dan came over my apartment some mornings when my ex-girlfriend was at work, and he would bring me whiskey with him, and he would have a drink with me, but I was very emotional over the ending of my relationship and had no one who wanted to listen to my cries for as long as I did. One night I was with Pat and we had Dan on the phone, and I was speaking with Dan about the remaining total of $700 that he owed me. Let's see. I'm trying to get to the point. This is really dragged on. Why would this man have gotten so close to me before getting get my disability? Make sure I got it. Call Social Security with me. Help me spend all my money and, in quotes, borrow money. He even had his friend do some horrible things to me and use me for $500+, include bringing him shopping once, making me pay for the things he wanted. He also cost me over $1,500 in dealership repairs on my vehicle because Dan convinced me his friend knew about cars and trucks. The man even said, "Oh yeah, you got your settlement now." And so he installed belts and a water pump on my old truck for a reasonable price. And then he showed me his car, which had a really nice stereo, and he convinced me he could install stereos. He impressed me with his truck, and he pressured me into buying a stereo I didn't want. He cut all my wires. He did not use a dash kit. He rigged all the wires wrong. In the back of the antenna hole of the stereo, he put a nail and wrapped wire around it. All the dashes on I'm just skimming through it and reading certain parts. Here's what the paper looks like, so you see why I'm having a hard time reading it. You see the paper? Yeah. So I mean, it's been through hell, this paper. Let me see. I'm going to get to the more important parts. This man never had anything but intent to get financial gain from me until my every penny was gone. He used and manipulated me. I called Social Security and some hotlines and everything I possibly could to understand what this man did to me and how to report the abuse to Social Security. And I tried to talk about some of this stuff. Let me see. And then I get to the part where I said, I've learned I'm completely hopeless. I've always been judged for the way I look, the way I dress, being poor, the way my eyes always look tired. I've always been accused of being high even before I ever touched marijuana as a teenager. Yeah, and I go on about a lot of things that I go on to a lot of things that have to do with my targeting. Yeah, oh yeah. Here, I'm just